You know, it's been kind of rough. You can see it in some of the older guys, you know. And of course, Sting actually had to get away from the sport for a while, and he actually, you know, he found Christ and had to go that route because he was a mess. And I actually talked to him a little bit, and he said, "Dude, I was so torn up that I probably wouldn't have survived another 6 months if I didn't do that path." But now he's still competing.
He's still,
you know. And some guys just don't get that way, and they fall the other way. So it's pretty neat to see the differences in a lot of the guys, especially the guys that I watched. You know.
Yeah, you know what did it for me was my kids. I love my kids, man, and I rolled hard for a long time. Till my wife, actually, my second daughter, who was at the time probably, I killed some budgie birds. I don't know if I should tell this story.
It's too late. You've already started. Well, don't worry.
Say that.
No one listens to the show. It's okay.
Don't you say that.
Yeah,
you should
tell me like 8 million. Well, I was coming home late. It was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my wife is an animal person. She had these 3 budgie birds, and I'd always get home about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and the sun would be coming up, and these birds. And so one time, I had an early night. I got home about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and it was in the wintertime. This is terrible. It was in the wintertime. It was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I saw them budgie birds, and there was an empty Windex bottle. So I filled that Windex bottle full of water, and I squirted them birds down, and then I opened the door because it was cold, and then I went to bed. I kind of forgot about it. And in the morning, there was 3 budgie birds. I was like, worst case of suicide, and she couldn't figure out what happened to her. and then about like 4 or 5 years later, I just forgot the crime, and I told the story, and holy cow, she still doesn't let it go. But then she would take the baby. Let me see, my second kid, Ariel. And she, you know, Daddy, why do you come home so late and move her mouth? And, you know, it's like, there's an old saying, you know, you need a license to hunt, you need a license to fish. Any jerk can have a kid. It takes a man to be a father. And I think that there has to be a time in a guy's life where he puts everything in priority. And you know, God helps out a lot there in that one. So that's what stopped. I don't say it stopped me immediately, but it calmed me down. I was king of the frat house, man.
Now, what's your everyone's we all know you still drink. So what's your favorite drink at night? Like, are you a beer guy, you're a vodka guy, you're a wine guy?
I'm a vodka guy. I'm a vodka guy.
Let me these guys don't know this, George and John. My little experience by no means, where I have 7,000 matches. I think I have one. All the guys that drink, the newer guys, they're like whiskey sours, amaretto sours, you know, Shirley Temples with Lipton, stuff like that. But all the older guys are like, if they have been in the sport long enough, and if the house is paid for, and they've got their kids are in college, and they've got some money left, they're buying bottles of wine. Except for Sting, who doesn't drink.
Yeah.
The other old guys are all buying wine. And if it's time to really hit it, it's vodka and vodka only. Don't mix it up with gin. Don't throw some clear rum in there. They will beat your ass. It is vodka and vodka only, and like it's violent. Like they get violent about a fan brought over a bunch of alcohol and was like, here, and it's a gift to you guys thanks for coming to Orlando all the time doing the story, doing the shows and stuff. And they were like, and then it wasn't Kevin, it was maybe Samoa Joe or somebody else. Like, yeah, don't go to the old guy, don't do that. It was like rum and stuff. So, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that, man. You'll get in trouble. Don't do it.
You get the curse on you or something.
Yeah.
You know, but they were talking about. I did a Jimmy Kimmel show with Mickey Rourke, and I saw this thing, and he says, Piper's drunk. You know what? One thing, I never drank before I performed, ever. No, that's not true. Maybe 25 guys with flair and all. I got to be true. I've got to be honest here. But just as a rule, rule of thumb, I just don't like it. I don't perform well. I don't like the way it feels. Everybody's saying, you know, he was drunk coming on Jimmy Kimmel. That wasn't true. I don't know about after, but it's not true. But
I had the opportunity to interview Ric Flair because he's doing some new stuff for Red Alert 3. They're doing some a video game. They're doing some press and stuff on it. And I talked to him a little bit about his party days. And he's like, yeah, you can't maintain that anymore. And that's one of the things he said is like maybe everyone thought that we were so crazy we'd come in hammered, but he's like most of the times that maybe he said it was like maybe 15, 20 times for his entire career.
Yeah,
he did, but the rest of the times you can't because if you miss. If you're in the wrong spot, if I'm on the edge and not in the center of the ring, if I'm running ropes and you're not expecting it, and you all of a sudden I'm expecting you to drop down, you don't drop down, and all of a sudden it's a leg kick to my. I mean, if I'm not paying attention, I get hurt because it's a live stunt show. You guys get whacked out, which brings me to my next series. Angle's got a horrible neck. Had a horrible neck before he started wrestling. He always has neck problems because of the pro wrestling itself. What major injuries and what's the most common injury that you see in pro wrestling? What major injuries have you had, and what's the most common injury in pro wrestling?
Joint degenerative. My right hip in '94 was turned to titanium. A lot of, because of the pounding, a lot of disc compressions, and again, neck. What you were saying is, here's an interesting thing that not many people think about, and I can understand why, because it doesn't apply to their life. The ring, think about this for a second. The ring, professional ring, is the only place that you can go and take a man's life and pay no consequences.
Yeah.
Do you ever think of that?
Yeah, you can. I mean,
you sure can.
Yeah, because in a mixed martial arts fight, we know we're both going into a fight, so there's going to be consequences if someone doesn't pull off.
Yeah.
In a pro wrestling ring, I can completely miss the F5, completely miss it on purpose, and drop you right on your neck, and you're dead, and no one's going to do anything to me.
As you understand, like if a fellow for their audience has got you in a headlock, and you're going to pick him up and back suplex him, if you have his bum about your chin level and you're going back, that's fine. If as you're going back you lift his bum up another 10 inches and kick your feet out, you're going to break his neck. And you go back to the locker room and vodka, table one. And that's the way it is. And there's some guys, especially in the old days, they would take those cheap shots. You know who was terrible for that was Buddy Rogers. Buddy Rogers.
Nature Boy.
The fellow that Flair emulated. And hung around with him. Buddy Rogers would do things like he would throw somebody in for a backdrop, and as the guy was coming to him off the ropes, he would start to back up slowly 1, 2 steps, and by the time he got back 2 steps, the distance is wrong, and he'd backdrop him completely over the top rope into the chairs, and that way, and it would keep Buddy Rogers over. And the way that that got cured is Buddy Rogers went against Bruno Sammartino in Madison Square Garden, first time, and Bruno, I'll tell you what Bruno in any case beat him in 45 seconds and tried to break his back. The way Bruno got started in wrestling, I'll just ramble here.
Don't worry, we should do too. It's
but it's too, I know so many. Bruno Sammartino came over from Italy, and he's a construction worker, and it was over in Long Island, in the what do you call it, the Coney Island, where all the games and stuff are. And they saw there was this orangutan, and it was I got to make up the number. I don't know. It's like if you can last 5 minutes, you get $5 or something. And Bruno told me the story. He says he got in there. He says this thing jumped in the air. He says it hit me with all 4 paws. He calls foam, and this thing wrapped up. Bruno lasted 5 minutes, and that's what got Vince McMahon Sr.'s attention, and that's how Bruno got into wrestling.
That's how I got in?
Well, it was, the fact that he went 5 minutes with the orangutan, and then Vince McMahon Sr. Vince McMahon Sr.'s dad, the one we know now as grandfather, they tried to have basketball going, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar told me the story. And they weren't doing well, and they changed to wrestling back then. So, they're a third, now maybe 4th generation. And that's just how they found Bruno. Tough guy, man.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Roddy, one of the things about the show that makes us unique is we can take some phone calls. We got a lot of fans. We got some phone calls lined up.